Hello and welcome to Audio Quick Tips number 40. My name's Lee Woodward and today we are discussing the technique of closing with a famous piece straight out of the Complete Salesperson course, which is known as the Just Suppose close. Before I deliver the dialogue, it's important you understand why this dialogue was created. Like all dialogues, you can't just script it out, deliver it like a robot and expect it to work. You've got to understand the thinking and journey behind why it was written. Now, Just Suppose was actually developed purely because most agents, no matter how good you are, can get to the end of the presentation and our wonderful audience, being our potential vendors, say, look, thank you very much, you were very good, I think I'll go with you, but I've got other people coming in, so we'll get you to come back because we'd like to think it over. Now, what they would like to think over isn't really anything other than it's human habit to say to do that because it takes off the pressure. Now, many agents will say, what is it you would like to think over? Is there anything I can cover now while I'm here? And as you do that, you're building up pressure. And in our Australian, which is very different to the American-based selling system, they will start to think, whoa, back off. I actually thought I liked you, but now I'm seeing your true colours. You've got to be very careful of this, as you can lose the business on this alone. Now, in the same moment, you don't want to come across as, okay, tried that, backing down, leaving the building. Because in this coaching tip, I'm going to explain to you a thing called grit. I'm going to explain to you that people are looking for grit, but they don't even realise it. And what do I even mean? All agents can come across as nice and professional. However, there is some agents in this world that win business and they are as rough and tough as you could ever imagine, and you will even get beaten by these people and think, how could they go with them? And I'll give you the answer. They may not have liked them as much as you because you were lovely, but they felt that person will get the job done. And everyone's looking for that little bit of animal in their agent for when it comes down to getting the house sold, that they can actually do the job. So this coaching tip is about not blurring the boundaries, pushing too far, but showing you've got that grit and expertise of a person who can get the job done. And the Just Suppose close is a good way of doing it. So let's just imagine that you've come to the end of your listing presentation, you've done price, marketing, you've gone for your initial close, which is, are you ready to commence the process? And they've gone into the, I'd like to think it over. And what you then do is move into a back-off situation, because when we back off the pressure, everyone can breathe and they don't feel they're in for a battle with you. And you do that like this. Well, James and Helen, I can completely understand you'd like to think it through. This is an important time for you, and I want you to feel comfortable with that decision. Right then, you'll see them drop down their pressure because you've listened to their first objection of, I want to think it over. Let it breathe, start to pack up your things, and just let the moment tick over. Then say this. Before I go, do you mind if I ask you both a question? You'll get a yes. Helen and James, just suppose I was your agent and we're on the market right now and we've been on the market for 2 weeks, the marketing looks good, we're getting engagement, I'm attracting people to your property, and this week I've even looked like I've got someone who's ready to commit to purchasing your property. Now, while this is going on, you've been out into the marketplace and Helen, you've seen the property that you want to buy. You love it, you're excited, you don't want to live here anymore, you're excited about that one. And you might come home, ring me and then say, Lee, we've seen the dream home, what have you got on our place? And I say to you, our attraction engagement marketing has worked. I've got someone coming back for their second inspection today. It's a relocation from Melbourne. And they're coming through the property to make that final decision. And they have seen some others, but we're looking really good to be the proposed home. Let's say they come through and they love it, they like it, and then they say this to me, Lee, it's really, really nice, we love it, but we've seen a few others and we'd like to think it over. Now, James and Helen, the only thing stopping you moving on with your plans here is this person committing to your property? What would you like me to do at that very time when they mention they'd like to think it over? Now, quite often the client will say, well, we want you to get them to buy it. You'd like me to get you a yes on the property. I understand. Well, Helen and James, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, and I don't want to come across as pushy, but my job as your salesperson is to get people to engage and say yes. And I'll have no hesitation in working the purchaser right to the very last point and engage them in that decision on your home. It's part of what I do. And if they do that, you can move on with your plans. But equally this evening, I would love you to say yes to me so I can get engaged to go out and find that buyer. My job is to get people to say yes. I'd have no hesitation in doing that, because if they say yes to your property, you can move on with your plans. But really, I can't do anything unless you say yes to me this evening and engage my services. Helen and James, I'd love to get started. Can we move forward? Now, the just suppose clause comes across as a little bit pushy, or does it show that's your job as a salesperson? You get people to say yes, and I think this is a really good one to explain the grit, the salesmanship in what you do. That concludes another coaching tip. I hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you at the course. My name's Lee Woodward. Goodbye.